Hello everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? So we've got the Prince of Darkness and the godfather of heavy metal himself, Ozzy Osbourne, putting out a brand new record today, Friday, February 21st. It's called Ordinary Man, and this is his first album in a decade since putting out Scream. I mean, this album here is like a comeback for him here, at least in terms of the solo world. And now Ozzy's made a number of comebacks over the years. I mean, going back all the way to first when he was kicked out of Black Sabbath and going solo in 1980, and then after retiring in 1991, coming out of retirement in 1995, and then creating Ozfest in 1996, and then a reunion with Black Sabbath in 97, creating the Osbournes TV show on MTV that was such a big success in 2002. All the way to then first Black Sabbath album since 1978 called 13 that came out in 2013, and then finally this album here, putting this out 10 years after his last solo record, Ordinary Man, in 2020. Now the album comes about because of, or at least it sort of happens because he had a myriad of medical issues over the last couple of years that had postponed him from touring and things like that, and he got a call about doing a guest performance for Post Malone, a current rapper who's out there, is very popular and everything. And he thought it'd make a great distraction, so he went ahead and did it. You know, that's not being something of a typical Ozzy fashion, but went ahead and did that, and he then hit it off with Post Malone's producer, Andrew Watt. And if you've heard that name or you recognize that name, you might know it from Andrew Watt was the guitar player in California Breed, which was the project with Glenn Hughes, formerly of Deep Purple, and having done Black Country Communion amongst a number of other things, and he played with Jason Bonham. So he did that, and then he actually went off and became sort of an in-demand producer amongst the modern pop world and everything, and that's where he's been. And he and Ozzy then hook up and decide to make an album. And the cool thing about this is that they got some really cool guest players on it. It's got Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses and Velvet Revolver playing bass. It has Slash guesting on it. It's got Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer Chad Smith drumming on this, and of course Andrew Watt on guitar. And then it's got other guests like Elton John on piano duetting with Ozzy on it, and of course there's a couple tracks with Post Malone. So I mean, it's got a number of guests and everything, but the band, Chad Smith and Duff McKagan, Ozzy, and Andrew Watt co-wrote all the songs on here. So this really is a band effort as opposed to just being backing musicians that were hired to play this. These guys, these celebrity musicians or, you know, famous musicians really did work together to write this. So, you know, that aspect of this is pretty cool. Now, there's 10 tracks on here, and it really is a mixed bag of songs. You got everything from cool, you know, Sabbath-style riffing songs on here to lush sentimental type songs, beautiful ballads, poisonous punk type songs, to all the way to pure pop. So really hits the spectrum here in terms of what this is. The opening track, the first track on here, called Straight to Hell, is a haunting opening number with cool riffing on it that has an absolute blazing solo by Slash on this one. The second track on here, called All My Love, has a really cool big 80s hair metal style chorus that's just really catchy and everything, and it's a cool sort of Beatle-esque harmonies and styling to it. Track 3 is probably my favorite song on here. It's called Goodbye. It begins with a hauntingly bluesy, slow-sung part that is followed by a full-on double-time riffing, and then alternates between the two as the song moves throughout on it. Track 4, the song Ordinary Man. This is the one that Elton John guests on, and it's probably the most raw song since Mama I'm Coming Home that he did off the No More Tears album. And this one here also has a really cool solo by Slash, the second one he guests on. Track 5, Under the Graveyard, was the first single off the album, and it's very reminiscent of stuff off of the Osmosis album, in my opinion. It's got some really heavy Sabbath riffing on it too, and is another song that I really like off this album. Track 6 is called Eat Me, and it's in a really strange sort of song material, lyrical material, as about the German person who put an ad out on the internet to find somebody who was willing to donate themselves so that this cannibal could eat them. But it's got this bit of a bluesy harmonica that opens it, sort of like the Wizard off of the first Black Sabbath album. And then it moves into this sort of dirgy rocker with maybe the heaviest riff on the album. But it's a cool number, and I really like this one as well. Track 7, Today Is the End, has these eerie guitars that start off with the haunting vocal that's in it, and then moves into this big, beautiful, catchy chorus, almost leaning towards a very pop side of things on it. Number 8, Scary Little Green Men. This one here is a very catchy, hooky-based song, just totally sticks in your head. I think it hits all the markers. The cool thing, this is the next song he's releasing as a video, and it's got Aquaman star Jason Momoa in it portraying Ozzy, so keep an eye out for that. Track number 9, called Holy for Tonight. This one here has some really glorious melodies and harmonies and lush strings on it. Another very Beatlesque style song on here. Track 10 is called It's a Raid, and this one here is a duet, or has Post Malone guesting on it, almost returning the favor to that song that Ozzy did with him. This one here has got a real pop-punk styling to it, and it's very left-leaning track on here, kind of something you wouldn't expect on an Ozzy album. Now, the 11th track on here is titled as a bonus track, and I think it's best thought of as a bonus track because this is the song that Ozzy guested on, the Post Malone song. So this one here, while opening with a very Ozzy style singing track, it does move into a very pop, modern day style song with Post Malone doing his sort of rap singing on it and everything. And once the samples and things kick into it, it's not at all something you'd expect to be on an Ozzy album. So I think the album ought to be thought of as the first 10 tracks, ending with number 10, the song It's a Raid, and really just think of the final track, Take What You Want, which is the Post Malone song, being a bonus track, sort of like here, you're not going to buy a Post Malone album, so we're going to put it on an Ozzy album for you, kind of thing. All right, the bottom line for this album is, nothing's ever going to top the 1980s Ozzy solo stuff or the Black Sabbath era stuff that he did. But I think it's a really strong, solid effort for Ozzy to be doing in 2020. There's some really great riffing and some cool famous musicians on this, and all those various collaborations and things are really cool to hear on here. But the main thing being, I'm just glad to have Ozzy back, and this album here I think is a pretty solid one and definitely worth checking out. Here's the back side of the album itself, and I'll flip it open here so you can check it out. There's the back side under the disc, and we'll pull out the booklet that's in here. I like the booklet itself. It's not on glossy paper, it's on a matte paper, which is a little different than you normally get from things. And it's got all the lyrics and everything, and then at the bottom of this actually tells you who plays and if there's any guests and things like that. There's no real photos or anything in this thing. It's a cool little gatefold here of the bat, of course iconic being, Ozzy having once bit the head off a bat, sort of a thing. So, from a show. And then you do get this one photo in the back, but there you go. That's the packaging to this, and great new album by Ozzy, and I definitely recommend checking it out. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, and I hope everyone has a great day. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.